as our European friends are already experiencing this now, California, Washington, going back into these business-destroying, church-destroying lockdowns, again, with the ostensible, well, just look at the numbers. Yeah, look at the numbers. The numbers have gone up since you did the masking mandates and since you've been doing all the rest of this stuff. And you're saying to say, well, it's just because y'all are not doing it well enough. Well, no one's ever going to do it well enough, because if the military can't do it well enough and still get more infections, then you need to realize that this whole adventure on your part is a big joke, and we all get it. Well, most of us are getting it. Most of us now understand what you're really doing. You're trying to make us all wards of the state. We get it, and you're succeeding. And we had a chance to put the brakes on it. Didn't do it because people don't like tweets. But anyway, we get it. So now, the difference now is, remember, what was that in the Atlantic? I think it was in the Atlantic. I had that reporter call me. May, June, something like that. And I was interviewed for an article in the Atlantic. I honestly, did you ever hear anything from anybody about them? I did not either. It was published. I know it was published, but it's like nobody cared. It's just nobody cared. But one of the things that she really focused on was my saying, I have a feeling next time around, because I knew there was going to be a next time around. I have a feeling next time around, a lot of churches are going to be significantly less willing to just go, hey, whatever you say, 2 weeks to flatten the curve. We're now at how many weeks? 48, something like that. They're going to be significantly more skeptical about the grounds, because no new grounds have been given. We've got Dr. Fauci out there spouting the same stuff that hasn't worked. He's been wrong all along. It's plain he doesn't believe it. We all know that. And so what's the church going to do? And I know that there are some churches in England, but they're breaking through the doors and kicking people out. I mean, this is what we're looking at. And I'm going to make the prediction that starting January 21st of 2021, these draconian California, Washington-style lockdowns will be enforced across the nation. And we will have a period of time where certain states, certain localities will seek to resist federal power. But the feds own everything. And the feds print money and pass it out like candy. And so when the feds tell your let's say your mayor really wants to defend the Constitution, really wants to do what's right, realizes this is all a bunch of bunk, but 12% of your budget comes from the federal government, or maybe more. And it comes with strings attached. You do what we say, or we're going to withhold these funds. What's going to happen? Will there be a period of time? Will South Dakota say to the federal government, not in our state, you don't? My gut feeling is you'll get from the various Republican governors who have a spine strong words, but capitulation in the end, all across the nation, which means churches will be told, close down. You have to, no singing, all the rest of this stuff. And I saw a guy, and of course, if you ignore the science, if you ignore the studies, if you just buy the narrative, then there's this guy going, one thing this pandemic certainly has demonstrated is that most Christians are far more concerned about their own personal rights than loving their neighbors. You remember the love your neighbor thing? That was the whole thing back in March, and it's gotten really threadbare because we've now seen that we're not loving our neighbors at all by doing this. But there are still people that are just going to keep beating that drum until the drum head pops right through. And since they did it, since they killed their church has ceased to exist, then they've got a real reason now to just go all out at anybody who didn't do what they did. And end of January next year, we will all be facing this. And unless there is just a general, everybody says no. We know it's a lie. We know you're lying to us. We know you've been padding the numbers. We know the science isn't with you. And unless we just all stand up and say no, then if it's only just a small number, they'll pick you off one by one. They'll pick us all off one by one. And I say that as a pastor in a church that did not close down at all. We never went online. We never missed the Lord's Supper. And there were all sorts of people initially that were unloving, unkind, and eventually a lot of people said, no, actually now, yeah, okay. Well, that ain't over. There was a brief break, but that isn't over. That isn't over. And so once again, the question is going to be we're right back to where we started. Sphere sovereignty. And now it is so plain. It is so clear. There was at least some argument back then as to what the real intentions of the state were. Can anyone really make an argument now? I mean, come on. This will be the new quoting Caesar thing. Come on, man. Come on, man. Don't you see how hairy my legs are? Come on, man. It seemed to work for a lot of folks. Seriously, who's going to really make that argument now? There will be some who will. They will pull that drum back out and start beating it. But the facts are the facts, and they're plain. And the question is going to be, do we just simply roll over and capitulate? And I'm afraid the foundation has already been laid to do that, because not only are there many churches that did roll over that no longer exist, businesses that no longer exist, restaurants that no longer exist, the devastation along those lines. But on a theological level, the argument has already been made. This is, as long as you believe whatever Caesar tells you is for your safety, then you got to do it, as long as you believe it. And my biggest concern for the future is that right now, if you're willing to dig, you can come up with major elements of the truth still. But big tech's not going to allow that for very long. Just see some of those people showing up in front of the Senate just today. Wow. They have no fear of those people. For now, they're putting up with them because they know they have to. But you just know that behind those eyes, they're saying, your time's coming, Senator. I'm going to be here long after you're gone. And I'm the one that has all the power. I'm just putting up with you right now, but I will take you out in the end. That's exactly what they're thinking. That's exactly what they're thinking.
They're also thinking, I own you, I own you, I own you.
Yeah, I own you, I own you. That's right. And yeah. Part of their ease of answering is, okay, I don't own you, but there are enough people on your committee that I do own that I'm good. I'm good. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, so pastors, elders, if you haven't been giving serious prayer and consideration to how you would handle a federally mandated closure, you need to be doing that right now. You need to be doing that 3 months ago. We sort of got to put on the side burner for a little while. We got distracted with other things. It's coming back. It's coming back. Last time, they got us because it came so quick, and there are going to be millions of people laying in the streets dead. And there are still people who believe that. I've seen them on Twitter. Oh, it's scary. They will believe anything. There was people talking about how down in Texas right now, they're having to use prisoners to drag all the bodies to the morgues and all the rest of this stuff. And it's science fiction craziness, but they believe it. They really do believe that's exactly what's going to happen. And it's happening right now. And they have no context as to mortality numbers to even begin to understand all the rest of it. So it's coming our way again, kids. And so the question is going to be, how important is it to gather together as the people of God and make communal confession of faith? And when you come to hear the word of God, when you come to be submissive to the word of God, when you come to pray, when you come to sing, this is communal confession of the faith, that you are confessing to the world that you're a follower of Jesus Christ. So what's that going to be? What's that going to be worth to us? And initially, what's it going to be worth to those of us who are in leadership positions? Deacons, you ready to step up when the pastors are visiting with the local authorities? Never thought you'd have to do that, but it's quite possible. It's quite possible. So many, many times, churches in China have had to look to lay leadership because their pastors were now in prison. And think about the pressure there, because you know you're the next one up. You're the next one up. Yeah, that's when you really start thinking things through very, very seriously.